Hey everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to the Wise Guys. Dave McCann and Brian Logan with us tonight. Blaine is off tonight. Wise Guys is the largest BYU sports live stream show in the whole world, presented by Brady Plus, Mountain America Credit Union, and Eddie. Wise Guys is distributed by the Deseret News. Look for our new podcast out tomorrow wherever you get your podcasts. Good to see you again. How are things?
Things are good. A little bit tired. I went to the dentist this morning. I got brand new teeth. See you.
What? Oh, those are brand new?
It's brand new, yeah.
Give your dentist a shout out if you'd like.
Dental Pros of Utah.
Okay.
Did me a huge favor. And I went
see
K9 to K9.
We're going to see that smile all fall on game day.
Yeah, it's perfect timing because I'll be doing Sports Nation next week. With Spencer, and then we have our photo shoot, right?
Good time for the photo shoot. New teeth.
It was perfect. It was perfect timing. So
that's awesome. They look great.
Thank you. It's starting the numbness is starting to wear off. So if you hear some random words where there's some slurs in there, I'm not intoxicated.
Well, how do you cover last time if this time was the medication? Last time would have been what? Hey, we invite you to subscribe to our free email at wiseguys.com. You can also watch all of our past shows, and would love for you to hit the free subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Continue to grow our audience. Look at our live stream tonight. Best night of the week. Thank you, Bill. There's Tucson. There's Huntsville, Alabama. Pleasant Hill, California out of the gate. Saw Linden, Utah. Tucson, Arizona. And let us know where you're watching the show. We have so much to talk about, and there's so much going on, and football is the name of the game. But we've got basketball news, and we have some outstanding guests here tonight. Last week, Chad Pritchard was with us, the founder for Fat Daddy's Pizza, and they're in Provo on Center Street, and he just wanted me to mention that they are feeding school-age kids. The school-age kids eat free Tuesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Fat Daddy's, and they're doing their part to help keep people fed this summer.
I know Chad. He's a good guy. Really
he's
good
awesome.
Guy.
He's
really
awesome.
Guy, yeah.
And our interview's waiting for you at wiseguys.com. And so give Chad a shout out when you stop by Fat Daddy's there on Center Street in Provo. Wise Guys is presented by Brady Plus. Brady Plus provides cleaning, food service, and packaging equipment, dispensers, and service and repairs with over 150 distribution facilities across the country and over 6,000 employees.
And Mountain America Credit Union, helping people achieve their financial dreams for over 80 years. Whether you're buying a home, planning for retirement, or managing daily expenses, Mountain America has the tools, technology, and guidance to help you succeed. Visit macu.com, macu.com to learn more.
And by Eddie, HR and payroll software built for small businesses. Whether you run a dental office in Spanish Fork, Utah, or a construction crew in Lehigh, Eddie helps you hire, onboard, track time, and run payroll all in one place. Simple, local, reliable. Built by business owners who believe people come first. See how Eddie can serve you at Eddie.com. And the Deseret News. Wise Guys is distributed by the Deseret News and Deseret.com, Utah's newspaper since 1850. It's 175 years ago.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, that's when you were born, right?
Yeah, I had a story in the first edition. Hey, the Mackeys are with us. You guys are traveling all the time. Traveling back from Central Washington, Kaysville in the house, Vallejo, California's in, Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Mark is on the live stream from Cambodia. I believe, Mark, that you are our first.
Wow, yeah.
From Cambodia.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, we've been all over the world.
Where's
and we continue
the
to
map
grow.
at?
We need a map.
Yeah.
We need a map with dots on where everyone is. But there's Cambodia. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us tomorrow. Usually Singapore will check in. We'll see them a little bit later on. But I think it's already tomorrow morning in Cambodia. So that's awesome. And there's one in Hawaii in the house. Sweet. Here's what we got on tonight's show. The Big 12, just how much money did BYU generate last season in the postseason with football and basketball? We're going to show you. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I would like to see the comparison with actually, I would like to see comparison with other schools in other conferences, not just the Big 12.
Yeah.
I think we would be up there as well. And then we'll talk about the phenomenal job that BYU football has been doing with recruiting in this upcoming class with Jeff Hansen of 24/7 Sports. He'll join us to break it all down.
He's got a lot to talk about. They just picked up another one within the last hour.
Yeah.
And it's piling on now. It's the best recruiting class in the Big 12, best in program history. So we're eager to hear from Jeff Hansen because he knows this stuff better than anybody. That's coming up. A.J. DeBonsa throws out the first pitch in one of the most iconic ballparks in American history. And Nathan Anderson from Mountain America Credit Union will be in studio with us. They're one of our sponsors. We love them. And he's got a BYU story with twists and turns. And it's going to be fun to talk about.
Yeah, I was reading the rundown notes, and I was on the edge of my seat, and also wanted to get here as soon as possible to hear the rest of the stories.
Paul is on the stream from Cache Valley. It's a great time of year up there. It's a little bit cooler, and it's so green. Yeah. It's not a lot cooler, but it's just a little bit cooler. All my grandkids live in the great Cache Valley with their parents. Shout out to their parents, but we love the grandkids a little bit more. Yeah. It's just funny how that works. Yeah. Someday you'll know that.
I'm experiencing that right now with my boys. They're here for the summer, so being with my mother and my stepdad, it's actually my dad, he flew out here this weekend.
Oh yeah.
And just to like really see them, I went and ran some errands, and I came back and they went and watched Superman without me, and I was like, I wanted to see Superman.
I saw Superman. I enjoyed it. It's worth seeing.
See, I'm over here.
I didn't want to be the last person.
That's me.
And now I met the last person.
That's how I feel. He was like, you were running errands. I was like, you couldn't wait at least 30 minutes. So you're absolutely right. That love has shifted and transformed. But I also get now I'm in the position where with my parents, because I used to always make fun of my parents when my grandparents, would spoil me. Yeah. So now I'm getting the taste
Here
back.
It comes.
Yeah.
Here it comes. Headlines tonight. Lots of BYU football. Let's start there. Jake Retzlaff. He officially withdrew from school since we were last together. Going to transfer into a new program. He's not going into the transfer portal. He's just going to show up as a walk-on wherever he's going next. Text him back and forth. He said he's close to announcing his future. There's a lot of speculation as to Notre Dame, Northwestern, Tennessee, Stanford. Could he be on Stanford's team when Stanford comes here?
That'd be funny.
We'll see about that one, and we'll keep you posted on that. But in the statement that he released on Friday, part of it he said, BYU has meant more to me than just football. It's been a place of growth, spiritually, mentally, and physically. I'm grateful for every teammate, coach, staff member, and fan who's supported me along the way. The relationships and memories I've made in Provo will always be a part of me. I thought that hit just the right note.
Yeah.
And BYU, Cougar Nation is going to love Jake forever. Eager to cheer him on wherever he goes next. I did text him that I said, look, this fan base is in your corner as long as you don't go to Utah. That's the thing that can turn it. And he laughed at that. But again, he plans to finish his eligibility at another school. I believe he's the only quarterback on the market that went 11-2 last year. So there's going to be some suitors. He's got experience. He's got some big wins under his belt. He's had some mistakes that to learn from and become better. And we're eager to see the next chapter for Jake.
Yeah, I think we'll be rooting for him, for life, but specifically for this season, as long as he doesn't, transfer to a team that's playing against BYU that's on the schedule, but. Yeah, I don't think we have anything negative or bad. He always brought a lot of positive energy, a different perspective. Not being LDS is I think always appreciated from an advocacy standpoint. So yeah, we wish him the best of luck. And I think the good thing with him in this situation, as far as being a walk-on with all the NIL stuff, he'll be fine. He'll be good to go.
We'll talk about the suitors, the three kids trying to get the starting job. Max Hall is going to be on the show next week, and so we'll dive into the quarterbacks with Max.
I'm on next week, right?
Yeah.
Yes, my quarterback. My quarterback.
Yes. Yeah, that's going to be great. And so we'll dive deeper into the quarterbacks as we get closer. I wrote a story in the Deseret News today. Kansas State and Iowa State start practice next week. Yeah, for the season. Because they open on August 23rd.
On week 0, right?
BYU's 2 weeks away. Man, and we're right there. The Chargers report to training camp Wednesday of this week.
It's weird.
So here we go. By the way, at the Big 12 meetings in Dallas, there were a couple of things to talk about. As far as the college football playoff, Commissioner Brett Yormark promoting that 5-11 model for how teams are selected in what he believes will be a 16-team playoff that could begin in 2026. That's after this season, in the next season. 5 highest-rated conference champions get automatics, and the other 11 are at large bids. How do you feel about that?
5 highest-rated conference. So that's like last year, right? I like that.
And then instead of guaranteeing the SEC, you get to bring half your teams.
Yeah.
If half your teams are ranked higher than everybody else, you do get to bring them all.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's I think.
So you earn it on the field as opposed to before you start the season, you've already got 4 teams going to the playoff.
I'm gonna take a step back. I'm not gonna say it's fair because it's all based off of how you're ranked, how you're ranked.
Right.
And there's always going to be SEC bias. So
there will be the bias, but it might not be like. But you still have to. You can lose your way out.
That's true.
You don't just, hey, if I just take 4th, I'm in. It's no. If you take 4th in the SEC and your record's not great, you're not in.
Yeah. Yes. Which and in that case, you're right. You have to lose your way out. Like you can lose your way out because we know when it gets down to the end of the season, and how competitive it is. Like with BYU, for example, even though when we lost to Kansas, we didn't get like the boot, right? We weren't booted all the way out. We still had an opportunity.
Yeah.
But there is, I could see there not being an argument that, hey, we lost 4 games, but we played in the SEC versus a BYU. Hey, we lost 2 games, right? Yeah. So
there'll be that.
I think resumes.
There'll be that, but I like that better than just Big Ten. You get 4, SEC you get 4, and the other guys can. Yeah. No matter how good you are, And then there are years when the Big 12's really good, and there's years when it's not. But that's the same for the ACC.
Yeah.
If Clemson's not good, no one cares about the ACC. No. And Florida State's off the map, so no one really knows. They haven't seen them since they played in Ireland last year. But so we'll see. But that's what Commissioner Yormark is promoting, the 5-11 model. Sylvia's in from Wisconsin. I saw there's Nick from Pensacola, Florida. Good to have you. Got Westlake Village, Clint. He's going for Bear Bachmeier. You know what? If Bachmeier turns heads on the first week of fall camp, it's on. It's a 3-way race to the battle.
Physically, right?
What a story! One way or the other, it's a story. Rich from Riverton is on the stream as well. But yeah, that's if he comes in and doesn't act like what he is, which is a kid out of high school. Yeah. Although he did compete for the starting job at Stanford during spring. That's why he went in January. Yeah. And then why is he here? Because Stanford fired their coach, and the coach that was going to build their offense around Bachmeier's out. And then Bachmeier's like, you know what? I know Kalani. I had a great experience with Kalani.
Right.
Now he's here, and here's an opportunity for him to win the starting job at BYU. So we'll follow that story. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to help the rest of the summer zip by because every day at practice it's like, what happened? Who did what? The drone footage from up above, did it capture any completions? And we didn't expect to have that at all. So that's what we got coming.
I have a friend, a really good friend, teammate, junior college, and he coaches out in Northern California area. And when we got Ryder Lyons, he was like, yo, you have no idea how good this kid is. It's phenomenal. He's talk of the town, like all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, well, speaking of that, he was like, speaking of that, what's up with you guys in your quarterback, situation? And I was like, well, now I actually got to do some work. I thought everything was going to be easy and smooth.
See, as an analyst, you got to do some stuff.
Now
you got to dive into it. Talk to your guys.
It's only because it's obviously the number one storyline for the number one position. And so it's like, you're right. It's like, I want to see what every play, what were their stats, their incompletions, their touchdowns, right?
Looking at highlights. It's all going to be interesting.
More work.
More work's coming. Yeah. Hey, show me the money. Here's the postseason receipts that are in. The Big 12 earned $68.8 million in football and men's basketball combined. Bowl money and tournament money. And so here's the rundown. Texas Tech it was number one. They brought in $11.04 million. Now, Texas Tech had football and basketball, and they're both pretty good. Number 2 is BYU, $10.9 million for the Alamo Bowl and to the Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. Houston is number 3, $10 million, all on basketball because they were terrible in football. So thanks, Houston. Arizona State, $8 million, all in football.
And specifically the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so you could see how, because they didn't even, well, I guess there's a conference title game. Does that count as revenue?
You get, but it's not the playoff revenue. Playoff revenue is its own thing.
Yeah.
5th on the money list, Baylor. They brought in $7.2 million. Let's jump all the way to the bottom. Utah brought in 0. None. 0. BYU brought in $10.9 million, and they're going to share some of that with the Utes. Yeah. The Utes brought in nothing.
And I think this like numbers don't lie, and this clearly shows the value that we bring over Utah, right? Utah, and
certainly
fans,
last year,
their fans always say that, like, what value does BYU bring?
Yeah, don't listen to those guys. All right, key dates. Jeff Hansen is just moments away. We're going to have a great conversation with him. There's Jim from North Carolina. Good to have you on the stream. The Chargers, we mentioned, report to training camp Wednesday, so that's how close we are to football. BYU reports on the 29th, 2 weeks from tomorrow. After further review, season premiere. The touchdown show is 2 weeks from tomorrow. All the touchdowns from last season. The Chargers and Lions play on NBC on July 31st in the NFL Hall of Fame game. So,
strange.
Those are key dates. They're coming fast. Adam Bywater, just a short time ago, 3-star linebacker, edge defender out of Olympus High School in Salt Lake. The younger brother of former BYU linebacker Ben Bywater commits to the Cougars over Utah. That was the latest addition to the 2026 class. Over the weekend, Jax Turner, 3 to 4-star offensive lineman out of Meridian, Idaho, picked BYU over offers from, Michigan, Oregon, Tennessee, and Boise State, and about 25 others, including Utah. He's the number 1 player in the state of Idaho, and I love that his announcement, he thanked his Heavenly Father and said he'll be back at BYU after serving a 2-year church mission.
Nice.
The Cougs are getting the top talent, the top Latter-day Saint talent, and they're going on missions, so many of them, and it's great to see. The Big 12 2026 recruiting rankings by 24/7 Sports, and Jeff can update us on this in a second if it's any different, but I checked it just before we came on. BYU is number 1 in the Big 12 and number 21 in the country. The Utes are number 50. We just put that in there for reference. Baylor's second in the Big 12, followed by Texas Tech and TCU. BYU's been in the Big 12 as a Power 4 program for 2 years, and they are number 1 in recruiting in the 2026 class. That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Thriving. We're thriving. We're not. I think we all went into the mindset of let's just survive the first couple years. Let's get our feet wet. Let's wait until we get full share of the revenue, right? And let's just kind of hang on and go for this ride. But now that we're completely thriving, right?
We're at the front of the roller coaster with our hands up. That's what's going on here.
Whee!
We've been witnessing an amazing recruiting spree for BYU football. No one follows it better than our friend Jeff Hansen of 24/7 Sports and CougarSportsInsider.com. We're thrilled to have Jeff back on the Wise Guys. Every time he's on the show, something big has happened.
Right.
And every time he has trimmed his beard and looks sharp and is ready to go. Jeff, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys tonight?
We're good. We're good. Hey, take a moment and sum up. And DJ, we're going to need Jeff's audio up just a little bit. Take a moment and sum up what BYU's done in the last week to move that 2026 recruiting class to number 21, highest in program history.
Yeah, man, they've done exactly what we've always wanted BYU to do. Okay, so we talked about, I think the last time I was on the show, Dave, we talked about Ryder Lyons. There was, the big 5-star, the headliner, all that stuff. We've talked about Bott Mulitalo. We've talked about Brock Harris, the 4-stars that are knocking on that 5-star door. But we've always said, as BYU fans, I've had this conversation, I don't know how many thousand times, that if BYU can just convert the talent, like the LDS talent, those run-of-the-mill guys that that are there, that have a ton of options. They maybe aren't the 5-star guys, but they're the guys that are going to make a ton of plays throughout the depth chart, throughout their careers, every single Saturday. BYU did that, and they did it in exceptional fashion this past week. I mean, there were 4 or 5 guys that were on the board that had decisions coming up in the last week, and BYU clean sweep. They picked them all up with Adam Bywater today. And these are guys that are really, really good. You mentioned Jax Tanner. I think he could be a 4-star here before too long. Some networks have him as a 4-star already. Adam Bywater. Look, that wasn't a layup for BYU. Utah went hard after Adam Bywater. I think Morgan Scalley might be his neighbor, if I remember right. I mean, they really recruited him really hard, and BYU had to show well. That wasn't just some easy recruiting win that the coaches could take for granted and get a BYU guy. They had to go win a recruiting battle, and they did. BYU's just they're not shooting themselves in the foot at all. They are operating and firing on all cylinders. And the results are really starting to show.
Jeff, I think this question, well, I guess there's 2 parts of this. So when 24/7 Sports considers its rankings, what's the formula to determine, which teams have the stronger classes? That's part 1. Part 2, a lot of fans, we get confused when we see 3-star and then he could be a 4-star, or when a guy is a 4-star commits, then he drops down to a 3-star. So what's going on there?
Yeah, so the first one, the rating calculations, it's all a little bit above my head. I mean, they have a really big formula that goes in, and the highest rated players are weighted a little bit more. They take some average commit within the class, and then there's some formula that I don't understand how it all comes together. But basically, if you have more highly recruited players, you're going to have a higher, and I guess a higher density of average of what the recruit is. Therefore, your total team score is going to continue to climb. That's a bunch of math. All I know is that, hey, keep getting the 4-star, 5-star guys. You're going to end up in a pretty good spot. Yeah. And then in terms of the ratings, it's a great question, Bilo, because it gets brought up a ton. And look, I'm not going to sit here and carry the water of any networks or anything like that. If people want to buy into conspiracy theories of ratings going up and down based on what school they go to, that's their prerogative, right? But the way that I view it and the way that our team does it at 24/7 Sports is ratings aren't final until after their senior year is done. You look at a guy like Zach Wilson, who really burst onto the scene late, or a guy like Jackson Darts, maybe even a better example, that he was kind of tucked away at Roy. Not a lot of people, including college coaches, even knew that he existed, much less had him as this NFL prospect. Then he goes out and has a dynamic senior season. Look, he was always a very good player when he was at Roy, but he got a lot better when he got to corner. He grew a little bit. He added some arm strength. He became a better player. And so his ratings kind of fluctuated too. It would have been silly to see that senior year and leave him at the low 3-star prospect that he was at the time. So ratings are always constantly being evaluated and reevaluated until that player signs, or I guess until that player's senior year is done. And then in terms of high, a 3-star that might be a 4-star, it's all based on a numeric scale, right? A 3-star is anybody rated from an 80 to an 89. It's kind of like your grades at school. Yeah, you can be a B student, but are you a B- student that's almost a C student, or are you that B+ student that's knocking on the door of the A's? That's kind of the way that the grading scale works as well, is that there's a numeric value behind every star rating. And guys like Jax Tanner are rated an 89 right now. So they're right on the cusp of that 4-star rating that starts at 90.
I don't know how you got my high school transcript to start rolling the grade thing. Robert is on the stream from Horseshoe Bend, Idaho. Another Robert from Saratoga Springs. Ben's in from Cary, Idaho, visiting with Jeff Hansen. We're going to talk about these players in a few minutes, but in a bigger scale, what more does BYU have to do for 2026? Who's still out there, or are they done?
Yeah, there will still be players that emerge. It's kind of a funny recruiting calendar now because everything happens in the summer. And then there's an entire season that still has to be played before signing day. It used to happen that officials couldn't happen until the season started, and most didn't happen until after the season ended. So you'd get kind of this rush in December, and then everybody would sign a couple of weeks after. Now we've still got months until signing day. So BYU's to-do list, keep these players committed. And in order to keep these high-profile guys, you're going to have to perform well on the field. If BYU comes out and they go 4-8 this year and they just struggle to look like a competent football team on the field, you're going to see some players flip to some of these schools that BYU has beat out so far. That's just the nature of the game. So BYU's got to continue to recruit these guys that are committed and keep them committed up until they sign in December or in February, depending on when these players decide to sign. In terms of who's left on the board, there's not a lot of players left. There's another guy, an edge rusher out of Lehigh, Druin Meredith. I'm looking at him. He might make a decision here in the next couple of weeks. But beyond that, there's not really an imminent target that I think is coming off the board soon. There will be guys who emerge throughout that senior year. There will be guys, I think of like an LJ Martin that nobody even knew who he was going into the season. And then all of a sudden he was a top target for BYU in about November. I look at, there's going to be guys like that emerge as the season goes on. But for the most part, I think BYU's got the core of this class, and now they're looking to just add best players available as they become available. And the beauty of the transfer portal era, if they don't see that in the high school ranks, they can always reserve that scholarship capital until the transfer portal opens up and then go and find those positions of need in the portal.
Jeff, do you think that colleges should start to move to a retainment strategy when it comes to the commitments? Like, for example, starting to pay their commits through NIL, like as they commit once they're juniors or their senior years? Think that's possible?
I think you're going to see schools do as much as they possibly can. Yeah, I mean, it's get a player committed, get them signed, get them on campus, heck, even have them on the roster for a couple of years. It's all about holding on as long as you possibly can. So I think you're going to see a lot of schools. I don't know if BYU is going to get into the, facilitating payments for high school kids or not. I kind of doubt it on the BYU side, true. But you're going to see it across the country. Some of these schools are already doing that. Because it is. Retention is the name of the game, and it starts from that verbal commitment. And until they walk out with their degree in hand, you are constantly trying to retain players because they can leave, at the drop of a hat at any moment. So, a commitment, a signing, even having a successful season and playing inside the locker room really doesn't mean as much as it used to at this point. You've got to constantly retain players.
Wise Guys is presented by Brady Plus, supplies plus support. See bradyplus.com. By Eddie, HR and payroll software built for small businesses. See how Eddie can serve your team at Eddie.com. By Mountain America Credit Union, empowering dreams for over 80 years. Learn more at MacU.com. And Wise Guys distributed by the Deseret News. Jeff Hansen of 24/7 Sports and Cougar SportsInsider.com or CougarInsider.com. I'm having an argument in my brain as to whether or not there's
Cougar SportsInsider.com.
Okay, sorry about that. I want to get that right. Is with us tonight. We're discussing BYU recruiting, and that is the buzz on social media and everything here for the middle part of July. Who should get the credit for turning the tide in recruiting both in-state players and those around the country for BYU?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, right? I mean, you go up and down the roster of coaches. Everybody has done a very, very good job. For me, the name that doesn't get talked about enough that has been a critical role, and you look at BYU's ascension in the recruiting rankings, and you can almost pinpoint it to the day that he was hired, is Dave George, the general manager of BYU football. The work that he's done, I think he's got one of the most difficult jobs of anybody inside the locker room right now. Coaches have to recruit. They got to have relationships. They got to, perform on the field, all that stuff. Dave George has the difficult task of figuring out what the NIL looks like, what's going to make everybody happy. Does BYU have the funds in order to make everybody happy? How do they get those funds? And then how do you balance that roster with missions and all the other stuff that BYU has always had to deal with? Dave George has done a spectacular job, and there's been guys, you talk to guys like McKay Madsen, you talk to Ryder Lyons, they're going to point to Dave George as having a really big voice and a really big role in their recruitment. I don't think a lot of people are talking about him because he's not one of the position coaches. You're not going to see him on the field on Saturdays or in press conferences, but Dave George has done a phenomenal job for BYU.
He's like a offensive lineman. They don't get any credit. you know.
But you got to have them.
But when they do something bad, the whole world sees it. That's corners are like that too sometimes. It's not really, you know, it's not really the most glorious from a outside in, but as long as he knows that he's making an impact, and Jeff as well, right?
Yeah, Jeff just gave him a shout out.
We'll give him credit. So Jeff, we understand the impact that the Big 12 has made with recruiting. My question is a little bit different than what we have on a script day. If BYU were to have the same type of success and buzz as an independent still, so not as like a G5 school, but just as an independent, do you think they would still have the same amount of recruiting success? So let's keep everything across the board the same, NIL, facilities, all that, but the difference is just the conference affiliation.
That's a really good question. I think BYU would still have success. I don't think they would have as much success because as BYU, look, NIL is a huge component of everything that happens in college sports now. There's no question about it. And I think that's the great equalizer for BYU. The fact that they can play this game and everybody else does, that helps, right? That helps alleviate a lot of concerns or any trepidations that anybody had previously about BYU, for sure. But at the end of the day, with the way that BYU has recruited this class, they're recruiting against a bunch of schools who also have NIL, right? So NIL almost becomes a non-factor because everybody on the table, every hat on the table has a substantial amount of NIL to work with. So at that point, it comes down to what else makes a difference. And all of these guys like Ryder Lyons and Brock Harris, they still want to win. They still want to play at the highest levels of the sport. And I think that's where the Big 12 makes a difference. Look, NIL can maybe get you into the door, but you still got to have all of those other things in order to compete against Oregon and Tennessee because they got NIL too, right? Like It's not like BYU's beating out, a bunch of smaller level schools. They're beating out the big dogs that can also pay. I look at AJ DeBansa and I look at some of the things that he said about basketball, right? Look, he was going to get paid no matter where he went. From the school or from some of the other endorsement deals like the Fanatics deal that he just got, he was going to get paid no matter where he went. So the money was kind of like a prerequisite, right? You had to have it in order to get your hat onto the table for AJ DeBansa. But of those hats on the table came down to Kevin Young and his ability to sell that NBA vision. And that's what pushed BYU's hat to the very top. I think football's seeing that on a different scale. Like Ryder Lyons was going to make NIL. He was going to have all that stuff no matter where he went. I don't think independent BYU offers enough on the field to get it done. But I do think, that there's some of these guys in this class that would have probably committed to BYU as an independent, but I don't think they would have had this full-scale class success that they've had so far.
So this 2026 class is rated the highest in program history. How does amassing a class like that impact those considering BYU for 27, 28, and beyond? I mean, it's one thing to go, wow, that's never happened, but does it just get better from here?
It's that's the $1 million question right now. The class of 2026 is unique for BYU because there is a ton of LDS talent and maybe the best in-state class that I've seen in my 10, 12 years of covering recruiting. So it kind of came together that BYU had a really, really big opportunity in 2026, and all the kudos to them. They've so far taken advantage of that opportunity. I think going forward, 2026 is going to prove to be an anomaly. I don't think there's going to be 5, 6, 7, 4-star and up type guys that are inside BYU's natural recruiting footprint in each and every class. So I don't expect BYU to constantly be this top 20 recruiting team. But I think that there's going to be players who want to come to BYU to play with guys like this. So I expect a lot of success going forward. I look ahead and there's guys like Crew Jones and Ian Aloisio in the class of 2027. And there may not be 6 or 7 guys that are 4 and 5-star dudes, but those two are going to be 2 guys that are 4 or 5-star type guys. And I think BYU is going to be firmly in the mix for them because of this class of 2026 as a foundation. So, I do expect it to continue to have positive effects down the road, but I do think 2026 is going to prove to be a little bit of an anomaly just because of the opportunity that was at hand.
So Cougar fans should be enjoying this when they see their team at the top of the Big 12. You should just enjoy this.
Enjoy the ride while you can. Absolutely.
Do you say that like that? Make that prediction just based off of the number the number of LDS like 4 or 5-star kids that are available in this class versus potentially not having those kids in future classes?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, can BYU get outside of that natural recruiting footprint? Of course they can. That's going to be a lot harder for BYU to do, even with this success. But hey, basketball's proving that they can do that. We haven't seen that at this level from the football team yet. And hey, look, we hadn't seen it from the basketball team until all of a sudden we did. So maybe BYU football can do that and prove me wrong. But at this point, I don't know if it's going to be quite there, because look, they've got this opportunity with this natural recruiting footprint, and they've been nails operating inside that footprint. I just don't know if they could continue to operate it at that high level outside of that footprint.
Let me throw a few names at you, and some we've talked about on this show, but since recruiting is the buzz, some of the big shots in this 2026 class. We'll give you the name, and then just give us a line or two of their potential, what they can do for BYU. And let's start with Ryder Lyons, the 5-star quarterback who will be here after his mission.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. I've said it before. I continue to see it with Ryder. From an arm talent and a football capabilities, he's great. He's got every hyperbole that you want to say. He's got all of them. But between the ears, he's different. He's wired a little bit like Zach. I think he's going to bring a lot of swagger to this program.
How about Brock Harris, 4-star tight end?
Yeah, I love Brock Harris's game. It's hard to compare anybody to Dennis Pitta because he was just such a legendary figure. But it's hard not to see a little bit of Dennis Pitta when you watch Brock Harris play. He's big, he's fast, he's athletic. He's going to be a big-time tight end.
Bott Mulitalo, a 4-star offensive lineman.
Bott Mulitalo is fascinating. He had NFL potential as a defensive lineman and decided he looked at guys like Penei Sewell and said, hey, there's real NFL money for these left tackles, and he decided to play offensive line. He thinks he can become a guy like Penei Sewell, and you look at what he's done in just a few months since flipping over to the offensive side of the ball, and it's hard to doubt him. That's the potential he thinks he's got.
All right, Bilo, throw in a few names.
Braxton Lindsey.
Braxton Lindsey, man, he's such a fascinating get for BYU. I think we're going to really grow to love him as fans the way we grew to love Jamal. He's just such an infectious personality. He's going to be a leader in the locker room, and he's a pretty darn good football player who's going to make a difference at multiple levels on the field.
You've had him as a high 3-star. Could he be a 4-star? And if
I
he
think some networks might have
others,
him as a 4-star.
Really?
He's going to be knocking on the door for sure.
Okay, and so BYU could end up with a slew of 4-stars when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I think so. Braxton Lindsey's right there. Kawe Akana is right there. Jax Tanner's another one. They could have several by the time all is said and done.
Another guy for you, McKay Madsen.
Man, I love McKay Madsen. I love him on offense. I know that's where he wants to play. I think he's an NFL linebacker. I think he's just special. He's just one of those unique athletes that he can do a little bit of everything, and wherever he ends up, he's gonna perform at a high level. He's too talented not to.
You may have to talk to his mom. Yeah, he's pretty set on playing running back. He leaves for his mission this week. We wish him the best of luck heading to Argentina. And my nephew, I think, is going to be his trainer down there. They've already kind of worked some things out. So we'll see him in a couple years. And I agree with you. He's just a fascinating guy with all the tools. BYU football recruiting expert Jeff Hansen on 24/7 Sports and CougarSportsInsider.com on the Wise Guys tonight. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and WiseGuys.com. Here comes the big question for you, and we know you'll answer it. In the recruiting battles between BYU and Utah, what shift are you seeing?
Look, BYU's winning most of them. Just about every recruiting battle when BYU and Utah are going heads up, BYU is winning right now. And I don't know that that's going to change in the immediate future. I think BYU has a lot of momentum. They've got a very similar pitch in terms of development, in terms of the coaches. You look at Jay Hill, Shione Poa, you look at the way that these coaches develop players, and they learned it all from Utah. So it's a very similar pitch in terms of how they develop players. I think that BYU has a lot of advantages in terms of fan base and NIL and all of these other things. And as long as that's the game that continues to be able to be played, I think that BYU is going to continue to win a lot of those recruiting battles. Utah's going to get theirs for sure. I mean, they're too good of a program not to. I think Salesi Moa probably ends up at Utah. They just landed a pair of wide receivers in Jaron Pula, Kenan Pula. So there's certainly names on Utah's recruiting list that BYU would love to have. But I think more often than not, this year for sure, and looking ahead, I think BYU is going to win a lot of those recruiting battles.
And with BYU winning those battles, not only just head to head with Utah, but Oregon, Tennessee. I mean these big name, big brand schools. What messages does that send to these other schools about specifically this recruiting class and how they've been winning those head to head battles?
Yeah, I think Oregon's pretty sick of BYU.
I was going to say that.
There used to be a time in the recruiting industry that you would the BYU would offer a member of the church, and other schools would just kind of back off. Like they kind of knew what was going to happen. And I think that over the course of independence, that kind of went away. BYU lost that advantage. I think if you were to ask Oregon right now, if there's a guy who's going on a mission, they're probably not going to recruit him as hard as they have over the last 12 months, because whether it's Alai Kalaniuvalu flipping while he's on his mission, or guys like Austin Pay who picked BYU over Utah, Bott Mulitalo, I mean, the list goes on and on. There's about 10 of them over the last year. I think that's what happens, that if BYU's involved for these missionaries and other schools are involved for missionaries, they're going to try to talk players out of going on missions. And if they can't, I think you see them take a step back and just say, like, look, we don't want to deal with missionaries the way BYU does, and we're getting our tails handed to us anyways.
Kalani likes the long game, right? If he doesn't get a guy at first, he gets him later.
Yeah.
And he's tried it, and he's taught his staff that. It's like, hey, if a kid picks somebody else instead of BYU, congratulate him, be nice to him, support him, because there's going to be another chance at him, and we're starting to see that quite a bit.
Yeah, we are. The transfer portal, I think, was built for Kalani Sitake's personality of just like support everybody, love everybody, no matter what. That really works out well because, yeah, guys, they go to Texas and don't play for a year or two or have an injury or whatever happens, and it's really easy for them to hit the portal, and there's BYU, and there's already a strong relationship that's ready-made. I mean, it's not fake either with Kalani. That's what's so special about it, is that is his genuine personality. And man, it really pays off in the transfer portal.
That's the quote of the night. The transfer portal was built for Kalani Sitake's personality. Love that. Speaking of the coach and the challenge that's in front of him right now, and you know all about Bear Bachmeier because he's coming out of high school and you follow this so closely, and you know all about McKay Hillstead because he came out of Utah High School and now out of Utah State, and Trayson Bourget, who comes from the Midwest. How do you see this quarterback battle going? And it's a true battle.
It is a true battle. I mean, I think any one of those three could end up starting against Portland State. But I think if I'm looking at this and I look at what Aaron Roderick has done over the course of his career when there's these quarterback battles, I think he's going to rely heavily on experience to at least start the season out. I think that Bear is probably the most talented quarterback in the room, but it's a lot to learn an offense as quickly as he's going to have to learn an offense. And guys like Hillstead and Bourget have that advantage, a couple years worth of advantage in Bourget's case. So I think that to start the season, it's going to be one of those guys who's been here for a little bit who has that starting job. And for me, maybe there's a little bit of bias because I've seen him so closely, but I look at what McKay Hillstead does when the lights turn on. Yeah. He's a gamer, man. I mean, his ability to just make plays. He's done it at the high school level. He did it at Utah State. Look, people kind of look at the stat line from Utah State and want to write him off because it wasn't, All-American status. He was a true freshman that was thrown into the mix. I mean, that's hard to do. And he still played pretty well. He played behind one of the worst offensive lines in all of college football and still managed to produce. I really like what McKay does once the lights come on. I think he's a gamer. He's small. There's some size concerns, things like that. But, Jake Retzlaff wasn't a big quarterback either. No. I don't think that A-Rod is going to have a lot of problems or concerns about the size. And ultimately, I think McKay Hillstead is the guy who I would go with. But Trayson Bourget, I think I've said it on this show before. He reminds me a little bit of Baylor Romney, that he just does everything pretty good. Yeah. I don't know that he's elite in any area, but he's certainly not bad in any area either. He just does everything pretty good, and he'll get that job done too.
It's going to be interesting. The lights will be on August 30th because it's a night game. So so Hillstead will have the lights on if he's the guy, or if maybe they'll play everybody in a game like that where BYU should dominate anyway and guys can get minutes. And Bachmeier has 4 games and a bowl game he could play in and not even have him wipe out the year, right? So there's opportunities to get to the future maybe a little faster while not sacrificing this season as they figure it out. What surprised you about the Big 12 first team announcements where there were no BYU defensive players named coming off the league's top defensive unit? Most of those guys are back.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought it was a little bit short-sighted, but I could tell you, I would bet that Kalani, that Jay Hill, that Justin Enna, those guys love it. Yeah, I mean, they absolutely love it. You want to continue to overlook BYU? They were overlooked all year last year, and just every Saturday kept continuing to prove people wrong. How many times do we hear it from Kalani? They don't know, but they're about to find out. Right. And I think that's the same attitude they'll get to take again this year, because apparently they didn't learn last year. They must have forgotten who these guys are.
It's funny, Kalani can shout that to his own fan base about his quarterback. The night before opening night. They don't know who it is, but they're about to find out.
Hey, Jeff, do you think – so I know with recruiting, or I would say, with recruiting, because you alluded to this with Zach Wilson and just him not having him being known, right? So he was under-recruited from a ranking standpoint. And I also know that, as a player, preseason awards, when you have that list – media, they tend to say, oh, yeah, I recognize this name. I recognize this name. I recognize this name. So I'll vote for him. Because BYU is not only new to the conference, but, new to the success of the conference, do you think that could have played a role into just the name recognition? Or for sure. I think you're dead on. Look, for 24/7 Sports, we've done some stuff as the Big 12 writers, and it's like, okay, hey, fill out your first team. Look, if BYU doesn't have a guy or Utah doesn't have a guy that I covered in high school, I don't know a whole lot of guys that are playing for Kansas or Kansas State, right? So you kind of do go with the few names that you know, and I think that's the flaw of the preseason media polls is because, look, these are just guys that are doing their job. Their job isn't to cover, BYU's beat writers. Their job isn't to cover Baylor and to have an intimate knowledge of who's good for Baylor, who's good at Texas Tech. So I do think you fall into that trap of you fall to the guys that you know or the guys that have the most hype that you've heard about. And I think that is what happens. And you look at BYU, we think the world of Isaiah Glasker and Jack Kelly, and so does the NFL. But they haven't had that national headline. And so, I don't know that I would expect a beat writer in Lubbock, Texas to have a ton of knowledge about Isaiah Glasker or Jack Kelly.
And our final minutes with Jeff Hansen are 5 questions presented by Strategy Square. Let Chantal boost your company's social media profile at strategysquare.co. Tonight, Jeff is going to reveal his top 5 BYU linebackers of all time. DJ, are you ready? 5 through 1, your top 5 linebackers of all time. Let's start with number 5.
I had to write it down because there's so many. There's a ton of names that could have been on this list. Yeah. I had to leave guys like Cam Jensen, Brian Keel, Bob Davis, Rob. They didn't make the cut, and they'd make the cut at just about every school. Yeah. So here's my 5.
All right.
Maybe there's some bias here, but Shad Hansen. One, he's got a great last name, but he's also got the resume to prove it. With I think he was knocking on the door of 400 career tackles. Was an All-American at one point. I've got Shad Hansen at number 5.
You guys had about the same high school stats, you and Shad, right?
Yeah, just about.
All right, number 4.
Shea Mearbook, one of my favorite linebackers in the 90s. The way he played, he's got the stats and all that stuff too, but just the way he impacted a game was special.
He was a beast.
I don't know any of these guys.
Number 3. Below.
Number 3, I got Fred Warner. He doesn't have the 400 career tackles that some of these other guys have.
So what?
But he was that next generation linebacker that did so much in coverage. He got after the quarterback. He did everything, and then obviously what he's done in the NFL speaks for itself.
Shad Hansen, Shea Mearbook, Fred Warner. By the way, Fred Warner, I believe, is again the highest paid linebacker in the NFL, which is insane.
Yeah.
Good for him. Okay, number 2.
Number 2, I've got Rob Morris. I think he was my first favorite player. I remember Rob Morris. I'm blowing the freight train whistles inside LaBelle.
Oh yeah,
he was unreal. He was the big time linebacker of my childhood, and also had a long NFL career.
Is there a better nickname than the freight train when you're a linebacker?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
Did you know Rob Morris, D'Lo?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Welcome to the 20th century.
I'm back. Those were like one of the first highlights that Bronco would show the defense is when Rob played. So.
Yeah. Okay, that sets us up to number 1.
And I don't think there's any question, man. Kyle Van Noy, the way that he just impacted a game. Anytime that you have a linebacker and you're down by a touchdown and you're like, hey, we're going to get it because he's going to get a sack in the end zone. And it's going to be fine. He's a special player. KVN is the top dog for sure for me.
Kyle Van Noy, the number 1 linebacker ever to play at BYU. That's since 1922, according to the guru, Jeff Hansen. And he was a highlight waiting to happen. And he didn't. That didn't mean he was in the right spot all the time, and that didn't mean he was doing what he was supposed to do at the linebacker spot all the time. But as you're right, you need a block punt, you need a pick, you need a fumble, you need something.
Yeah,
Van Noy got it.
Kyle freestyled a lot. So my senior year, it was his freshman year, and there was injuries towards the end of that year, which was 2010. So a year that was kind of our down year and rebuilding, and Kyle started getting more reps. On special teams, and then when injuries occurred, he got in at linebacker, and every time he got in, he had a sack or a fumble recovery for it. It was something, and we went to Bronco. We were like, "Yo, I don't know what you got against this kid, but you got to put him in." And it was like maybe 12 significant plays that he made that helped us win games as a true freshman, and not even a starter. And we all knew, everybody on that team knew that he was going to be special, and I think he exceeded those expectations, even though they were so high from him based off of what he barely did.
Yeah, good. That's a great list, Jeff. And we love having people on our show that are smarter than us and that know more than us. And so that's why you're on all the time. If you know, it's like, man, it's because you know your stuff. You can follow Jeff at CougarSportsInsider.com. He's also part of the 24/7 Sports Network. And follow him at Rakoto10 on X and Instagram. Great stuff as always. Thanks for doing what you do, and we will see you soon.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Jeff Hansen. We've got all this information in our in the link, and you can read all about him and read more about what he's got. He's also got his season preview that you can get a hold of and digest. Great to have him on the Wise Guys.
Yeah, every time I talk to Jeff and hear interviews or whatnot, it makes not only hopeful but just more excited, right? That we're getting these guys, and I just would have never thought in a million years that we would get the type of guys that we're getting. I joked with Tom Homo last year and just about the recruiting and the corner specifically, and I said I never would have. I would have thought that Jesus would have came back before we had a defensive back room with mostly black corners. And he started laughing, and he was like, what? Think about that. I didn't think that would be a possibility either. And so I think we've done a phenomenal job with recruiting, and man, like to hear Jeff break it down, I always think back to that statement of Jesus ain't come back yet. We're getting those guys. So.
Listen, we're comfortable talking about Jesus on this show, but you always bring him in a way that we're not quite. But the important thing on Brian's message is he is coming back. That's the important thing. Just before our next guest, we want to tell you about our golf tournament coming up. Wise Guys proud to be a Thrive sponsor of the upcoming Ephraim Hope Charity Golf Tournament. That's coming up Tuesday, August 5th at Cedar Hills Golf Club. On the stream, you can see some information on it. On the podcast, just listen for a moment. Shotgun starts at 8 a.m. It's a scramble format, raffle prizes, lunch. But most importantly, it's for the cause, helping children in Uganda attend private school. Creed Construction is this year's title sponsor. We'd love for you to become a Hope sponsor. That gets you a foursome, a custom banner, your logo on the marketing, includes some time on our show as well. Sign up today at ephraimhope.org. That golf tournament's coming up August 5th at Cedar Hills Golf Club here in Utah Valley. Some basketball notes. How about A.J. DeBonsa? The incoming freshman has signed an exclusive, DJ, you can take that off now, has signed the exclusive trading card and memorabilia deal with Fanatics, the company that recently acquired the trading card company Topps. So he's got some more stuff coming in. Unprecedented development in the history of BYU basketball is this DeBonsa. He already has partnerships with Nike and Red Bull. Yeah. And he's so big that he threw out the first pitch at Fenway Park.
I didn't get a chance to see it
last week.
How'd it go?
Before the Red Sox and Rays. The last thing I said to his dad, Ace, is, hey, look, tell AJ not to bounce it in, because it doesn't matter if you're throwing a first pitch at a Little League game. They'll boo you if you bounce it in. So he first of all, when you get up on the mound, things change. Yeah. I've had a chance to throw a few pitches in my day, and everything's fine and good until you climb up to the mound. Yeah. You're on a hill, and the catcher is so far away all of a sudden. But anyway, at 6'9", he kind of did a thing, and he threw it a mile high, and it just kind of lobbed over and bounced behind the home plate, and then the catcher scooped it up. Nice. So he got it done, and then the crowd cheered for him. He's from Brockton, Mass, so that's where he grew up. But how many BYU freshmen are throwing pitches at Fenway before a Red Sox game? I just know of now the one.
I think the better question is, how many more freshmen will have this opportunity?
I don't know.
I'll say none.
I don't know. Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's going to be a long, long time. Yeah. Yegor Demon, by the way, down in the NBA Summer League, he had 8 points against Oklahoma City, 12 points yesterday against the Wizards. He plays again tomorrow, Tuesday, against the Knicks. That's at 4 Mountain on ESPN2. Wednesday against the Magic at 5:30 Mountain. I believe that's NBA TV. And then they start their Friday through Sunday NBA Summer League tournament, and that's ESPN, NBA TV, ESPNU, ESPN Plus. It's fun to see him cutting his teeth there in a professional setting. Still got a ways to go, but he was on being interviewed the other day and talking about BYU. Wherever he goes, he takes BYU with him, just like AJ's doing.
Yeah, which is, I think it's the number. I've always said this as somebody who's not LDS, that sports for the church, through BYU is the number one recruiting tool outside of missionaries, right?
It can be.
And getting guys to the next level is how that can be done. And I'm following the Nets now on the social channels. Yeah. And the fans after this last game are starting to buy in. They're like, okay, we see. Because at first there's a little bit of a fuss, like, who the heck is this kid? What are we doing? We have 5 picks. But after they're seeing his progress, they're like, okay, we kind of see the vision now. So it's cool to see.
It'll be fun to watch him go. Our next guest is the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Mountain America Credit Union, a proud sponsor of Wise Guys. He's a BYU grad who stormed the field with everybody else the night Ty Detmer and the Cougars upset number 1 ranked Miami in 1990. It's our pleasure to welcome Nathan Anderson to the Wise Guys. Good to have you here.
Great, thanks. Appreciate you guys having me.
So what feelings do you remember of that night, hopping the rail and then running like crazy to midfield?
It was pandemonium, right? To see that game and witness what took place, it was unreal. I'll still never forget seeing Ty Detmer take a couple steps back and have 2 tackles from Miami run into each other. As you mentioned, it was exciting. We ran and stormed the field, and I'll never forget standing next to, and I mentioned to you this before, but Neil Fort.
Who's a giant.
He was a giant, a literal giant. I looked up at this guy and could not believe how huge he was, and he was celebrating just like everybody else. So it was a lot of fun.
And do you remember who you ran on the field with?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a number of my good buddies there, roommates there in college our freshman year, and we had a great time.
I was just blessed to be a part of Gymmermania, right? And the love and the attention that I got from back home, from just family and friends, especially not being LDS, but knowing I came here, it was like that badge of honor, right? It was like, I was like, oh, like I'm a part of this. I don't play basketball, can't shoot a hoop, but I felt that I was a part of that. And I think, Cougar fans will have that opportunity with AJ as well. But what was it like for you to be a student when you were part of a team that had a Heisman Trophy winner?
It was incredible. I was a massive sports fan, basketball and football in particular. Had the opportunity to play in high school and just loved the two sports. And so for me, it was so much fun just to come and be a part of that. I'd grown up a fan. My dad bought tickets when I was real small, and I'd grown up going to games. And so it was a dream come true to be able to see them that successful when we were there.
Nice.
You've got a BYU story, and it's going to take a couple twists and turns that we want to talk about. But you mentioned you played football at Jordan High.
Yeah.
So you go to the state playoffs, and you're playing Bountiful. You're the tight end, right up there with Dennis Pitta and Chris Smith and Johnny Harleen. But you're Nathan Anderson. You go across the middle. You stretch out to catch a ball, and what happens?
Yeah, so stretched out, as you mentioned, up in the air. In doing so, ribs are up, and I got hit and, went down, got the wind knocked out of me. And at that point, coaches came out, helped me out the field, stayed on the sideline for a play or two, and then went back in, caught another pass, got tackled again. And then by halftime, I just couldn't breathe and was just kind of feeling winded. And we were fortunate. There was an NFL referee by the name of Doug Toole who lived in the area. He always came as kind of he was a PT as well, and would come to our games as kind of the sideline doctor, if you will. And our coach, he said, we got some rib pads. We'll put you back in. Everything will be fine. And luckily for me, Doug said, timeout. No, we're not going to do that. He can't go back in.
You stopped the game.
That was it for me. I couldn't go back in. And so second half, state playoffs, I wanted to stay and watch the game. Yeah. So I stayed there watching. By the end of it, starting to hurt a little more. Went up to the hospital after the game. My dad drove me up, and on the way up, he said, "Do you want to go to the Instacare, or should we go to the hospital? What do you think?" And so we went up to the emergency room, and they went ahead and did some x-rays. I thought I had cracked ribs. That's what I thought was the case. And they said, "No, your ribs are good." So they were going to send me home.
So you're done and ready to go home, just sore.
Yep, sore, not feeling great.
And then somebody says, "Hey, wait a sec."
Luckily, there was a surgeon that came in from another hospital, and he'd just gotten there, and he took a look at things, and he said, "I'm just not real comfortable with this. I want to go in and do a 1-inch incision just to make sure everything's okay." And his 1-inch incision turned into a 1.5-foot incision. My spleen and kidney were lacerated, and my liver had burst.
Wow.
So when they moved the abdominal muscle, blood went everywhere. And had I gone home, I just would have gone to bed and not woken up because I was bleeding internally.
Yeah, you died. Yeah.
That was it. So felt very fortunate to have a great surgeon. His name was Dr. Eric Anderson. I won't forget it here 30-something years later, right? But luckily for me, I was blessed, and he did a great job of saving my life.
So he had a hunch. And sometimes you see this on ER or other TV shows, right? It's all scripted. Yeah. He just has a hunch that something's not quite right and saves your life.
Yep. Thank goodness for hunches.
Yeah.
I think too, there's a lot of common injuries that you get, per sport and then also per position. And there's signs usually within those injuries and those body parts, which you automatically can tell. Like when I see a player run off the field like this with its shoulder down, you dislocate your shoulder.
Exactly.
If you get hit in the ribs and you can't breathe, you should go to the hospital.
Yeah, easier said than done. The interesting thing too, at that age, right? They say you're full of adrenaline,
yeah.
So it masks some of the potential concerns. So anyway,
so you really had two people. The official stops the game and goes, "You're not coming back in."
Yeah.
And then you have the surgeon who says, "You're not going home. Let me check you over." And then here comes the BYU part in this BYU story. This injury threatens your basketball season because you're a good athlete. You play football and you play basketball. And somehow you're introduced to Floyd Johnson. Yeah,
that was special for me. At that point, they pretty much told me, obviously, you're done with football. The way the doctor put it, he said, your lifetime, you're done. You can't, no college, that's not an option. And basketball, I actually didn't play football my junior year because I was focused solely on I didn't play football because I was focused solely on basketball. And my friends talked me into playing football my senior year. And then this accident happened, and I thought, gosh, there's no way I'm going to play basketball, which was hard. It was a struggle. But they did. Someone introduced me to Floyd Johnson. I went down. My dad took me down to Provo, met with him, the equipment trainer at BYU for 8,000 years.
Yeah.
And the neat thing is I walked in and he said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, this is what happened. This is what I've been told. I'm just trying to see if there's any way I can do something to play basketball." So he grabbed and he basically created with a sewing machine. this harness that took and put basically a 1-inch foam pad all the way around my rib section, and it had suspenders over the top that he'd sewn in there.
Nice.
And he said, when we went down and told him, went back to pick it up, he said, "Here you go. The only thing I ask is that you bring it back when you're done."
Wow.
Really?
And it, for me, as a, at the time, 17-year-old boy, it made a big impact. I was already a BYU fan, but to have somebody care that much about me and be willing to take their own time to do something that would help me to play a sport I loved was amazing, and obviously cemented my BYU fandom.
And it worked,
Yeah.
right? It allowed you to get on the floor.
It did, and that's about all I could do because I was still. I'd lost, I think, total of in about 10 days, I'd lost about 25 pounds, and was definitely not what I wanted my senior year to be, but I was able to participate.
This hook in the story also includes but wait, there's more. First, Nathan Anderson, Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at Mountain America Credit Union, is on the Wise Guys tonight, presented by Mountain America Credit Union, Brady Plus, and Eddie. And Wise Guys is distributed by the Deseret News. So you play basketball with this device, you get to the state playoffs, and your team gets a date with Emory. It's like, well, Emory, who did Emory have? They had a center who was 7'6" named Sean Bradley, and you had to deal with him. Yeah. So how did you prepare to face that?
Great question. Our coach was a legendary coach in the state of Utah. His name was Hal Hell. And Hal played in the NBA, and he was just an incredible athlete, tennis and basketball both. But what he did was, during practice, preparing for that game, he took and he taped cardboard boxes to his hands, and he stood under the rim, and he had us come in, and he just swatted everything we tried to do during practice, just to help us realize what it was going to be like going against Sean Bradley and his amazingly long arms.
Did it work?
So it worked in that we probably played better than we would have. Unfortunately, we didn't win the game. They went on to beat us, and they played Ogden High School in the championship and beat Ogden as well. I think we played Judge and took third that year. So
when you're playing a 7'6" guy, it's like, come on. When you ran out onto the floor, you're like, really?
I'll put it this way. I'm 6'2".
Yeah.
Our center was 6'7". When our center would go out, I would go in and replace him if I wasn't playing something different. So we didn't have height.
Yeah,
we were pretty short. And again, even back then, 6'2" and 190 pounds for a tight end, that's a small receiver now.
Yeah.
So very different back then.
Yeah, what a story. Oh, and there's another one. You ready? That was one Anderson story, backed up by another Anderson BYU story. And then here comes the third one. There's this girl you knew in elementary school and high school named Gina. After your mission, she's attending the U, and you are at BYU. Her roommate, your roommate are going on a date, so somehow that brings you two together. So how does she become your wife?
Yeah, great question. So one of my roommates actually was her brother.
Okay, that's right.
And so she was setting him up with one of her friends, and the way I remember the story is the people that she wanted to go out with weren't available, the other roommates. So she settled for me, but she tells it a little differently. But
you were the fourth option.
Yeah, that's got to be the case, right? But anyway, we went together. We obviously had known each other for a number of years, and we went out so that they could go on a date, and we just had a great time together. And one thing led to another, and a few months later, we kept dating and ended up getting engaged and married.
You know, I say that jokingly. Obviously, you're the fourth option. Really, what happened was God said, "Nope, these aren't the right ones for you. This is the right one."
That's right.
You like how I switched that? So as newlyweds, she's still, in the nursing program at the U. You are at BYU studying marketing in the business school. What was that like rivalry week? What was that dynamic like? Because like with me, I say this all the time, I don't wear red clothes. I won't buy, my kids can't wear red clothes. I won't buy no red, like candy, anything like that. So how did that go?
It was not tough at all. From day one, she knew it was blue or nothing.
Okay.
And so even though she was going to school at the U, she would proudly cheer for BYU on the weekends. So and our kids turned out just as you. They will not wear red.
Yep.
They will not drink red.
Nope.
From day one, they've been cheering the blue.
I only stop at red stop signs when I have my kids with me. When I don't have them,
You just keep going. It's a tough week for all of us. Jordan's on the stream from Greenville, North Carolina. It's good to have Cougar fans from all over the world. As far as Cambodia tonight, so great to have you with us on the Wise Guys. Mountain America Credit Union's Nathan Anderson is on the show live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. When fans walk into LaVell Edwards Stadium next month, they'll see a Mountain America sign above the southeast corner of the bleachers up at the top. Saw it at Stadium of Fire. Why is it there, and what's so important to have Mountain America in that stadium for your company?
Yeah, we sponsor and partner with a lot of different community programs and universities and a lot of things that participate in the community. For us, BYU is extremely important for a lot of reasons. First of all, we really strongly believe part of our mission is financial literacy, and we want to be able to help share that message with as many people as possible. And obviously with the large alumni base and all the good things BYU does, we feel it's an important partner of ours to be able to help spread that message. The other thing is we also partner with BYU for things like the Red Cross and other great community charitable events and things to try and raise funds. And so that's another thing that we really believe in. Anytime we have a sponsorship, we want to have a charitable tie so that we can together help lift others. And that's something we feel is important as well.
So, clearly this is a very special times, for just BYU athletics and the football program. I've been saying the last year and a half, it's a great time to be a Cougar, right?
Yeah.
And I think that your partnership is coming at a really good time, right? Because you get more eyeballs and more brand awareness. But what is about BYU and their performance right now, their recognition right now, that's important to Mountain America?
Well, and we've been a partner for a number of years, right? So throughout independence, which wasn't all that great, right? As far as being able to put the type of performance on the field or on the court that they have been. But for us right now, again, it just continues to be being able to partner with that strong brand. Yeah. More people are seeing it, right? So we have the opportunity to share our message with others. And again, we're owned by our members. We're a not-for-profit organization that's really focused on improving the financial lives of our members. And if we can share that message with more people, which obviously when you're winning, there are more people watching,
Sure,
right?
Sure.
It is what it is. Then we can share that message with more people and help more people out.
Doug on the stream says, great stories, many MACU branches here in the Phoenix area. Trevin Anderson on the stream says, Nate Anderson is the GOAT.
I don't know who that is.
I have a feeling maybe you do. Rick is on the stream in Japan tonight. Good to have you guys with us. We were up in Idaho watching a Brad Paisley concert earlier in the summer at the Mountain America Center in Idaho Falls. And I commented to my wife on the drive up and back is your name is everywhere, and that's by design.
It is. And, again, you mentioned with BYU in particular, we have branches in 5 states, Utah, Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, and Montana. There's a large following of BYU Cougar fans in each of those markets. And so, again, it's another reason why we feel it's a great partnership.
When NIL first came out, I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, I get pissed off every time I think about it. Because I was
timing.
It was a different time then.
Man, it probably wouldn't have been the best move for me. Anyway, I've always thought about to try to keep things a little bit like wrapped up or some red tape, especially when it comes to finances, just because you hear about all these deals, 5 million, 3 million, these crazy numbers for kids that at such a young age. And I always thought it would be cool to have a financial institution or a bank to come in and partner with a team for NIL and say, hey, we want to have a partnership or something that's exclusive where every single one of your players get to have an account with us. We can open up a personal account and obviously tie it to your business account because that's how they get paid, creating their own LLCs. But then I also thought this, as far as you being eligible for NIL, you have to have a certain amount of, let's say, your GPA, maybe performance on the field, but you also have to put X amount of those dollars that you get for NIL or scholarship into an account like this. What's your thoughts on something like that?
I think that's a fantastic idea. Obviously, the whole goal for us is to help people prepare for the future, and helping them understand at a young age the importance of saving and preparing is huge. In certain cases, we've had the opportunity of BYU as well as other universities to participate and help, and we've sponsored and brought in some individuals that work for accountant companies to come in and really provide education for these athletes. So they let them know up front, hey, here's what's going to happen. You will be taxed. This is what you need to prepare for. You need to set aside a portion of these funds. We've also put together financial literacy courses to help them understand interest. And, you know, again, as I learned from my dad when I was young, smart man earns interest. Those that aren't as smart pay interest, right? So again, it really is, it's just about education. We want to make sure that athletes, students in general, understand what they're doing. There's too many cases where you hear that students, they leave their home, they go to college, and they get into financial trouble, right? Because they don't understand credit. They get a credit card and all of a sudden, what do you mean I need to pay that back, right? And so we're really trying to make sure that we can pass along that information. And we've done a lot with athletes to try and help set them up in a better direction moving forward.
Yeah, I have like 20 more ideas if you want to connect to me after this. I just want 2% of.
You do have a lot of ideas. Just two. He's got a lot of ideas. Lifelong BYU fans, so what are you most looking forward to? The football team after an 11-2 season, or the basketball team with this A.J. DeBonsa and Richie Saunders and all those guys?
Yes. Do I have to choose? I mean, come on, Dave.
What's most intriguing? What's most intriguing?
I'll take what's coming up next, right? I think the football team with some question marks. Obviously, the situation with Jake has brought some questions that weren't there before. And I'm really excited. I feel like a number of positions are actually in a better position than they were last year.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see that on the field. I was actually had the opportunity to go to the Summer League this past weekend, and I was walking in the hotel and saw this 6'9" Russian standing there, and I said, Yegor, and he looked over, and I said, go Cougs, and he said, go Cougs. So I'm also excited about what's going on with basketball, and that's going to be amazing, but one thing at a time.
Yeah, it's going to be something. Michael's on the stream listening in from Idaho Falls. Hey, Michael, we may have seen you at the Brad Paisley concert up there. Good to have you on the stream. Before we get to 5 questions, one last one for you. With Mountain America and the BYU credit cards, we've been talking about it on this show for about a month. Tonight we can show them a little bit. DJ's going to put the pictures up. And tell us what's new.
Yeah, so we've had a credit and debit card out for a while. And again, this is the only place you can get a logoed, BYU logoed credit or debit card. And again, we're going to have coming this fall, or into the summer, football season starts, we'll have some promotions that will tie to opening your account, getting your BYU logoed cards, and a new design coming out this summer, which is going to be exciting. And really, we've used this as an opportunity for people to show their support and fandom, and obviously use it as a vehicle to help them accomplish the things they want to.
On the podcast, just envision 2 of the coolest credit card designs you've ever seen. We just showed it on the live stream. One in white and one in royal. And
what about a Cosmo edition?
There's another 2%. I know. There's another 2%.
He's up to 4%.
I got these.
This is going to cost me a lot of money, Dave.
Hey, you're welcome to come on anytime. That credit card looks cool. That'll look great in anybody's wallet. So nice to be able to show that tonight. 5 questions for Nathan Anderson's presented by Strategy Square. Boost your company's online presence. You can reach Chantal at strategysquare.co. You ready for these?
Let's do it.
All right, B-Lo.
Okay. Favorite sports movie?
Oh boy, favorite sports movie. My all-time favorite movie is Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
I don't think you can go wrong with that.
No, that's a common one.
And last Friday night, they showed it on the big screen at the stadium.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a cool place to watch a football movie.
You know, to me, I feel like it's kind of like a Rudy, but where it's generational, right? Across generations. That's a sports movie that generations will cling on, and you know, I hope that they don't do like a remake of it. Just keep it. Keep the original.
Well, the music,
you can't beat that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And the music is so
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah. It is. It is. Everything about it. All right. Number 2, favorite singer or band?
Oh boy, this is gonna date me, but I'm gonna go back to you're gonna die when you hear this. AC/DC.
Oh, that you just
Cannot
spoke. You
go
just spoke my
wrong with
language there.
AC/DC.
I wish Blaine was here to hear another really smart human being on this show. So I saw AC/DC at the Thomas and Mack Center in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
It was I'm not sure which tour it was, but the band was still, no one was in jail and no one was dead.
They didn't have their walkers.
They didn't have their walkers.
Okay.
And I remember we were sitting up in the suite, the Thomas and Mack, where it was safe, you know, for me, and I got a buddy to go with me. And so I'm eating nachos and drinking Pepsi, watching AC/DC. And I'm just sitting there going, I played Back in Black in our backyard on the trampoline as loud as I possibly could. And somehow I don't think my parents ever understood what any of the songs were about.
I hope they did.
Me too. And we just played on, but it was, and now you go to a sports arena, and when they want to fire up a crowd, what music do they play?
AC/DC, Thunderstruck.
Yeah, that's great. All right. I love that answer.
Okay. Number 3, favorite breakfast cereal.
Golden Grams, hands down.
That used to be.
Hands down.
That used to be. Like shaking his head too. Yep.
You got to eat those fast, though. Because they get soft.
The soggy.
Yeah.
They get a little soggy. Okay, number 4, favorite James Bond.
Ooh,
Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan, or Daniel Craig?
I'm gonna have to go Roger Moore.
I like Roger Moore.
Yeah,
Pierce Brosnan was mine.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's probably just more of a generational thing, right?
Yeah.
And Daniel Craig was good. I'm curious to see about the next one.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting that character has gone through all of our lives?
Crazy.
Daniel. I like Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig has a little, especially towards the end, had a little. I don't know if it's more the script, but there's a little bit more of a darkness.
Absolutely.
You know,
Totally agree.
I don't need my Bond movies to be 3 hours long, and I don't want to know what terrorized him in his youth.
Right. Yeah.
Just go get the bad guy.
Just go blow stuff up, please.
Drive a fast car.
Right.
Got to be an Aston Martin.
Right. Okay, number 5, favorite BYU moment.
I'm going to go back to Miami. BYU Miami, Ty Detmer.
There you go.
Running on the field after that was unbelievable.
At what point in the fourth quarter did you feel like that BYU was going to win that game? Or was it when time was totally off the clock that you go, oh my gosh, this just happened?
I actually probably would say the former. I felt really confident, believe it or not. The way they were playing was just unbelievable. I feel like they really had Miami confused, and it showed. And that was just an amazing atmosphere to be a part of.
Do you remember Oklahoma when we beat Oklahoma and we were going into halftime and Max Hall was like, we're going to win. We're going to win. Was it like that, earlier like that?
Probably not quite like that. But, it was a shocker, but yet there was a quiet level of confidence.
Yeah.
So,
And didn't Ty have the biggest chin bandage? Today, I think they just put a couple of things on it. He was like, it looked like he'd been in a title fight.
it was a battle, no doubt about it.
What a great memory. And we appreciate Mountain America, the name on our graphics here, the name on the wall behind me, and we're grateful for your support for Wise Guys, because we think that we can take good things around the world, and we love being associated with you guys when we do that.
We agree and feel the same way, and we're glad to be able to support and partner with you as well.
Get more information at macu.com. Nathan Anderson, the GOAT. According to, I believe, his son Trevor, who's watching the Wise Guys tonight. Hey, we welcome the family. It's Monday night. We welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna get your number from Dave, and then we'll talk
2%.
about
half a percent.
I'll do 0.5%. I'm with that.
If I get a text at midnight that says, Dave, he's got so many ideas, I apologize in advance.
I'm counting on it.
Great to have you.
Thanks,
Nathan
gentlemen.
Anderson, Mountain America Credit Union. All right, let's get to our Cougar Board question of the week. If you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community of BYU fans. Thousands of posts every day, especially in all this recruiting hubbub. That's the place to be, to get in there and get your opinions and hear from so many others. This question comes from Airwolf Bilo, and he's one of their insider subscribers. You ready?
I'm ready.
Will the media casting doubt as to BYU football's ability to compete for a championship light a fire under the team? Will they be able to keep a chip on their shoulder all season long? Because there was no preseason poll coming out of the Big 12 meetings, but a lot of the chatter is that that BYU's to the middle and lower in lieu of the quarterback situation, yet everyone else has come back. So the question being, is this stuff from the media enough to fuel the fire?
I think so. I think we saw last year in multiple games that BYU was the underdog, right? Even with the success that they had.
And Kalani plays that really good.
Yeah, and you kind of have to, right? Like when I played, we didn't have social media like that. You know what we were taught? Don't pick up the newspapers. Don't read the articles that your parents send you. Now you can't get away from it. So I think coaches, with the evolution of player management and getting them ready for the games, they have to embrace it, and not only embrace it, but implement it in their strategy of motivating, because it's all around. You can't block it out. The only way you can is if you are an extremely smart kid and just detach from social media during the football season. But we know with NIL and trying to get your brand out there and just kids being kids, that's just not the case. So why not take something that could be looked at as a negative and use it for, motivation? All
right, there's the Cougar Board question of the week. Howard's on the stream from Cape Newenham, Alaska. And I knew Howard growing up. And Howard, I will tell you this, and we visited at your mom's funeral, and you gave an awesome talk and represented your parents phenomenally. And anyway, it was great to catch up, even under sad circumstances. But job well done. And I know what it's like to speak at a parent's funeral, and it's not easy, but there's no greater honor or tribute. You did a nice job, you and your family. Next week, Max Hall is going to be with us, winningest quarterback in BYU history. And also Wise Guys viewer from Colorado, Tim Felicia. He'll be in our studio. He won the Wise Guys for a Day contest.
Nice.
And he's in town. And he's going to be on this show as we promised, and we hope to have everybody come in on this show over the years. He's the first, but not the last, with our contest. So that's coming up next week.
Host, right?
He's going to be a guest. He'll be sitting right over there, and we'll grill him. It's just because he won doesn't mean he doesn't get the big questions.
No, we don't take it easy.
So that's next week. Here's some campus notes, and believe it or not, on July 14th, there's still a lot going on. Let's start with BYU soccer. Jen Rockwood, she'll join the Wise Guys in 2 weeks. That's how close they are to getting started. The soccer team reports on July 29th, and the blue-white scrimmage is August 2nd.
Hey, I love Jay. I hope Uncle B, or maybe you, if you want to take that day off.
I'm not taking it off, but there's a good chance Blaine will take it off.
I won't even charge you 2%. Women's volleyball, Sully Davis, incoming freshman, United States U19 national team finished the World Championships with the silver medal after falling to Bulgaria on Sunday. Davis was honored as the best outside hitter for the tournament. So a lot more talent,
and she's a freshman coming in.
It's just not stopping. The momentum keeps going. Heather Olmstead is the head coach of the USA U21 team. They will compete next week in Costa Rica, and BYU volleyball season tickets go on sale Tuesday for Cougar Club members, and Wednesday for the general public. You guys can buy your tickets at BYUtickets.com.
That's this week. They're on sale this week, starting tomorrow to the Cougar Club. Men's volleyball, Corbin Batista wins the gold medal at the Pan American Cup for the United States U19 national team. Here's another guy who hasn't played here yet.
Exactly.
It's just the best of the best coming in.
What a time to be a Cougar.
And we're going to see Corbin at the Smith Fieldhouse.
Track and field, BYU's Megan Hunter wins the Bob Bosley Award. Each year, 2 students in the Big 12 are given the honor named after former Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bosley for their leadership and their excellence. Hunter won the outdoor national championship in the 800 meters.
Women's basketball news. The Cougars are going to play in the Paradise Jam on November 27th through the 29th over in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. They'll play Virginia Tech on Thanksgiving Day, November 27th at 3:30 Mountain on ESPN+. And then they'll either play Vanderbilt or Oregon State on Saturday, November 29th. The men are also playing on Thanksgiving Day in Orlando, Florida. Not sure the opponent of that one just yet and where you can watch it, but it's no longer just a football day. As the Cougars, the men and women, will both be available to watch in the afternoon on Thanksgiving.
What a holiday treat for Cougar fans.
Yeah.
Right?
The gift that just keeps giving.
Man, yeah, you're right. It just keeps on going. Administration, Senior Associate Athletic Director Liz Darger has been elected chair of the 2026-2027 NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Committee. She will work on the committee as the vice chair for the upcoming year.
So she's going to be the boss.
Yeah.
So if the Cougars get good enough to get a good seed, then we can count on the chair.
We're going to rig it
of the selection committee to.
I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that out loud. Can you cut that? Can you cut the?
It's a live show. Yeah, it's a live stream.
On the replay, can you cut
what you meant to say is, can we get the benefit of the doubt? I think that's what you meant to say.
We all know. Well, you know by now that I say things out loud. Actually, that's called speaking. I say my thoughts out loud.
Well, if we didn't say things out loud on this show,
you know what I'm saying.
It would be a quiet show.
I say the first thing that comes to mind without thinking about it.
That's why people love you.
Yeah.
And that's why Blaine and I are right by your side.
We
say he didn't mean that. Here's what he meant to say. The Rock Pass, by the way, a coveted thing on campus. They go on sale to BYU students August 4th at 10 in the morning, Mountain Time. They're $225 this year. That's more than last, but everybody's paying more than last.
Yeah.
Look at the product.
Yeah.
There's 36,000 students on campus. There's only so many Rock Passes. And so anyway, circle August 4th. And if your kids are at BYU or heading this way and they don't know about this, then as a parent, let them know. The Rock Pass on sale August 4th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time.
And I mean, you think about the memories that we told earlier on this show, right? And you get those from attending.
You just got to be there.
Right. You don't want to be in that group of people that had these stories and then they look over to you because you're not getting it and say you just had to be there, right? You don't want to be there.
Don't worry about it.
Singers auditions to sing the national anthem at BYU football and basketball games this season are on July 31st at the Smith Fieldhouse. You can get more information on X at BYU Cougars.
Listen, this is important because we're all going to hear you.
It's like American Idol.
It's important
right?
to have auditions. Sign up, go sing it, and then we'll all sing it with you at these events. And of course, they do the national anthem at every BYU sporting event, and they need singers. And so, July 31st, that could be your breakout singing thing.
I could do prayers. Do they have auditions for prayers? I could. We should do that. I'm sorry.
They have auditions for the singing. For the singing, Bilo. On this day, on July 14th, there was a lot of stuff that went on, and I love this part of the show because it kind of just brings things.
Yeah.
It brings things together as we head down the home stretch. But on this day in 1789, it became Bastille Day. The French Revolution begins, and it's a national holiday in France. They have all the flyovers and big celebration. So that's today, and that happened on 1789.
On this day, in 1850, the first public demonstration of ice made via refrigeration.
Where would we be without ice? So they broke it out today, despite those frozen rivers and all that stuff.
We wouldn't have ice cream.
The first public demonstration of ice made by refrigeration.
Ice skating. We wouldn't have.
We would have ice skating.
We wouldn't have.
It's got nothing to do with ice in the fridge.
Ice cube.
There you go. We wouldn't have ice cubes.
No. Ice cube.
We would have this music. But would you turn Bilo's mic off?
You could cut.
Okay.
Just cut
on this day in 1853, the World Fair opens in New York City. That's a big deal.
On this day in 1914, American engineer Robert Goddard patents the liquid-fueled rocket design.
Where would we be without that? It all has to start somewhere, and the rocket started on this day in 1914. 1951 on this day, the first color telecast of a sporting event. It was a horse race on CBS. How about that?
On this day in 1968, Hank Aaron hits his 500th home run.
On this day in 1976, the Democrat National Party nominates Jimmy Carter for president.
On this day, 1987, Greyhound bus buys Trailways for $80 million.
So you remember there used to be competing bus lines. You'd see a Greyhound, you'd see a Trailways.
I've never seen Trailways.
And then they just bought them.
Well,
what year were you born?
88.
Yeah, of course you didn't. The deal was done a year before you were born.
I just put two. I just put two and two together.
You went through your whole life not seeing a Trailways bus.
No, I never. Nope.
Okay.
Not even heard of. Which makes sense. And $80 million back then was probably what compared to now.
It was a lot back then. 2008 on this day, Batman: The Dark Knight premieres in New York City.
That's one of my all-time.
You like that one?
Favorite movies, yeah, for sure. On this day in 2020, new study shows Aiden condors, the world's heaviest bird, can fly for 5 hours without flapping its wings.
See, that's the kind of stuff you learn on this show from the National Academy of Sciences. The Andean condors, the world's heaviest bird, gets up there and can fly around for 5 hours. We got planes that can't fly around for 5 hours, but we've got the world's heaviest bird without flapping its wings. So it's just up there doing this.
Yeah, like full gas. That's full gas tank, right?
Yeah, that guy's coasting. Birthdays on July 14th, 1857. Frederick Lewis Maytag, the inventor of the washing machine.
That's important.
There we go.
But we needed that more than ice.
So's this next one.
1910, William Hanna, animator, Tom and Jerry, and Scooby-Doo.
Hey, where would we be without those guys?
Bored.
1913 on this day, Gerald Ford was born, 38th president of the United States.
1987, Dan Reynolds, singer, Imagine Dragons, started a band as while he was a BYU student.
Yeah, Imagine Dragons. Dan Reynolds, born on this day.
That was the day before that was a year before I was born too.
How about 1987? Conor McGregor from the UCF. He was at the BYU Baylor basketball game at the Marriott Center this last January 28th. Conor McGregor was born on this day.
At that moment, I mean, everything like AJ and everything that happened, but at that was the moment that I was like, we've arrived.
That did it for you? Having McGregor?
I'm sorry. I did. We've arrived in public, right? Outside of the BYU sphere, we've arrived.
Because of McGregor?
Yep, 100% because of him.
On July 14th, deaths of note, 1881, Billy the Kid. We don't often spotlight outlaws, but he was probably one of the most well-known. Billy the Kid died on this day.
1998, Richard McDonald, co-founder of McDonald's.
Do you realize how big McDonald's is around the world? You can go anywhere, and you can get some McNuggets.
Yeah.
We should have bought stock a long time ago on those guys.
And you think about, I remember just like the collectibles of the toys, right? Like those are also memories that you keep with you.
Yes, that's true. On this day in 2005, Cicely Saunders died. She was the English nurse who founded the first hospice, and I'll tell you what, that hospice is a godsend to folks in their final days. Yep. And they were the whole concept was founded on this day back in 2005.
2019, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, who's a boxer. He passed away.
I watched him fight Oscar De La Hoya at the Thomas and Mack Center, and he dodged him the whole fight. And then afterwards, he complained to the media that he got robbed in the scorecard. I raised my hand and I said, "You dodged him the whole fight." And then he got mad at me. But I was like, what a waste. Get in there and box. Yeah. But anyway, that's Sweet Pea. Our Wise Guys inspirational quote of the week is from Conor McGregor, as told to BYU TV's Spencer Linton during the interview that he did with us, and we had it on the postgame show, about his experience at the Marriott Center. And Conor McGregor said,
"It's so crazy. It's so fast-paced. The crowd is incredible. I'm grateful to be here. So happy to be here and see this. I always wondered what the college basketball game would be like, and I'm very, very, very impressed."
And he meant it. Yeah. He meant it. It blew him away. I bet we will see him again.
Yeah, for sure.
At a BYU game.
I think we'll see a lot of celebrities, especially if AJ makes a splash, right, and the hype behind him. Why wouldn't somebody like a LeBron, or even better, I shouldn't say LeBron, but maybe somebody that is connected to Coach Young. Hey, Coach, Hey, can I get some tickets?
And play the Jazz, and we see a lot of the Jazz players.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that was a great quote. Our thanks to Jeff Hansen of 24/7 Sports and CougarSportsInsider.com on the recruiting haul that the Cougars have brought in. And you can watch it again at wiseguys.com, where you can read more about Jeff. And I'm going to have something in the Deseret News tomorrow or the next day about our visit. Very good. And if you're a BYU fan, and we anticipate most are on the stream and listening to this, you have reason to feel pretty good. And Nathan Anderson, we had some phenomenal stories with Nathan in his ties to BYU. He's the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Mountain America Credit Union, which is a sponsor of our show. Jared Price is the president of Eddie. He was on a couple weeks ago. And, of course, Travis Brady, the president of Brady Plus, on with us a few weeks ago as well. All BYU guys and all tied into us on the Wise Guys, and we love it.
Yeah, it's a great feel. When it comes to the NIL, I saw this stat the other day that talked about I think the amount of alumni that BYU has when it comes to donating, and them being in seven figures, right? So like 100 million plus, and Utah has like one, And I like what BYU their method and their approach is, which is to make school affordable for members of the church while providing a very high quality, so they can go out in the world, they take what they learn, they impact the world, and then when they're done, they bring it back here in some way, shape, or form. And I think it's a very healthy cycle in the way of doing that. And then you're seeing that right now. We're whooping everybody in NIL.
It's a good time. Next week, Max Hall, the winningest quarterback in BYU history, is going to join us. We'll talk quarterbacks now that there's a true quarterback battle underway. And Wise Guys for a Day winner, Tim Felicia out of Colorado, is going to be here in studio. Nice. And that's going to be a lot of fun. Where you can find us this week, Blaine's on vacation. Good luck finding him. Bilo, where are you going to be this week?
This week. What am I doing this week? This is all I'm doing this week. I'll be here.
Right. I'll be here next week.
Yep, next week.
You'll be resting up for next week.
Yep.
I'll be in the Deseret News and co-hosting Sports Nation on Wednesday, Thursday, and next Monday. So I'll see you on BYU TV quite a bit this week. We remind you, Wise Guys is presented by Brady Plus, supplies plus support. Learn more at bradyplus.com. By Eddie, HR and payroll software built for small businesses. See how Eddie can serve your team at eddie.com. And by Mountain America Credit Union, empowering dreams for over 80 years. Find out what they can do for you at macu.com. Wise Guys is distributed by the Deseret News. When we see you next week, NFL camps will be open. The Iowa State, Kansas State teams will be reporting. We'll be away from BYU reporting, and it will be on.
It will be, like Donkey Kong.
Good to have you here.
Always happy to be here.
Look forward to your new ideas next week. Don't want to miss that.
I won't charge you 2%. Though.
Thank you, everybody, for watching our show and listening to the podcast. And we remind you to go to YouTube and click the subscribe button. And also encourage your BYU friends to check out Wise Guys. We're for everybody. Yeah. And today we were in a new land. Our show was in Cambodia for the first time. So we're spanning the globe, trying to catch up with Cougar Nation, which is already all over the planet. Thanks for taking us in. We'll see you soon. And, of course, we'll see you next week on Wise Guys.